Chapter 1. A misdiagnosis of epic proportion, where Steven Adler is mistaken for Alfred Adler and somehow ends up moderating a roundtable of world-famous psychologists while possibly still high and definitely not qualified. Steven Adler blacked out mid-rim shot. Not gracefully. Not even rock star style. It was more of a sideways flump, a kind of aggressive lean into unconsciousness. He remembered a flash of lights, Slash saying something about, "You good, bro?" And then, nothing. Like someone yanked the power cord on reality and nobody bothered to plug it back in. He came to seated at a long oaken table, surrounded by 4 old men. This was not the tour bus, this was not rehab. This was not even the weirder kind of green room. No, this was a very clean, very serious kind of room. The kind with bookshelves full of uncracked leather volumes and the unsettling echo of deep thoughts. To his left, a man in a 3-piece suit was adjusting his monocle. To his right, someone with an enormous mustache was aggressively not smiling. Across the table, 2 more. One sipping tea like the fate of mankind depended on its temperature. The other polishing a pipe in rhythmic, terrifying silence. All 4 looked at him like he was either late for something important or exactly the person they didn't want to see. "Ah, Dr. Adler," the mustache said. "Finally." Steven blinked. Yeah, totally." "We've been expecting you," the one with the monocle added, nodding. "Though I must say, your papers on inferiority compensation were unconventional." Steven looked down. His shirt said, "I got banned from Disneyland" in faded lettering. His leather pants squeaked when he shifted. There were drumsticks tucked into one boot. He wasn't sure what happened to the other. "Right," Steven said slowly. "Yeah, that one. The inferiority paper. Huge in France." Freud squinted at him. Not judgmentally, more like he was trying to figure out which Freud theory Steven was currently disproving. "Dr. Adler," he said again, carefully, "your work on organ inferiority has shaped a generation of therapists." "Cool. Yeah, love organs. Big fan. Livers especially." A silence fell across the room like a thick Victorian curtain. The pipe polisher, Frankl apparently, set down his utensil and leaned forward. "Perhaps we should begin," he said. "Begin what?" Steven asked, instantly regretting it. "The symposium," said Jung, "on the future of the soul." "Ah," Steven replied, nodding like someone pretending to understand quantum mechanics while holding a tequila shot. "Yes, let's soul it up." The table had nameplates, little brass ones. Steven glanced at his. "Alfred Adler, M.D., father of individual psychology." "Well, shit," he whispered. He looked up. All 4 of them were staring at him. He sat up straighter, adjusted his shirt like it was a tie, and decided he'd go with it. After all, how hard could it be to fake your way through a panel of dead psychologists? Freud opened with a deep sigh, as if he'd already given up on everyone in the room. "Let us begin with the question of self. Dr. Adler, if you would be so kind, how do you believe the self manifests under pressure?" Steven took a breath. Time to improvise. "Well, you see, the self is like a roadie." The room stilled. "It's behind the scenes, right? Doesn't want the spotlight, but it's got the duct tape. It's holding the whole damn show together." Freud blinked. "Go on," Jung said, furrowing his brow like he was trying to poop out a riddle. "Yeah, and when the self gets under pressure," Steven continued, "it either breaks, or it learns to fix the stage mid-show without anyone noticing. Like bam, cymbal breaks, boom, gaffer tape. No one even sees it happen. That's identity maintenance, baby." There was a long pause. Frankl slowly lifted his teacup to his lips, then paused. "I don't hate that." "He's using performance as a metaphor for being," Jung mused. "It's almost Heideggerian," Fromm offered. Steven leaned back, sweating slightly through his leather. "I can't believe that worked." The conversation carried on. Each of them presented long-winded, deeply philosophical thoughts. Freud spoke of suppressed desire. Jung went on about archetypes. Frankl discussed meaning in suffering. Fromm wanted to talk about love, but in the most German way imaginable. And Steven? Steven tried his best not to say anything too insane, but every so often they'd ask a direct question, and he'd have to make something up. "Dr. Adler, what is your position on dream analysis?" "Dreams are just the brain's way of trying to play jazz," Steven said without blinking. "Explain," Freud demanded. "It's all improv, right? But there's themes, motifs. Sometimes it's just noise, but sometimes it hits something deep. You don't know why it works, it just feels." Unstructured structure, Jung whispered, eyes wide. Yes. A subconscious riff, Frankl murmured. Fromm stared at Steven, hard. Have you been drinking? I don't not drink. Ah, Fromm said, as if that made perfect sense. By hour 2, Steven had invented a new theory of personality he called drumline phenomenology. Every person's got their own tempo, he said. The problem is, society wants everyone on the same beat, but if you force a swing rhythm into a 4/4 world, you get anxiety. That's absurd, Freud said. It's brilliant, Frankl countered. It's jazz, Jung whispered. It's bullshit, Fromm snapped, but interesting bullshit. Steven just nodded like a man who'd survived 3 concussions and a chili cook-off in the same week. They broke for lunch. Only there was no food. Just silence, and the creeping realization that none of this was real. Steven wandered into a hallway that extended forever in both directions. The walls were covered in framed diplomas that blinked when stared at. The floor hummed softly. He passed a mirror. His reflection winked, and kept walking without him. Back at the table, the mood had shifted. Frankl brought up mortality. Fromm brought up the alienation of modern man. Jung started drawing snakes on his placemat. Steven tried to steer the conversation towards something safer. What do you guys think about tambourines? Freud groaned. It all began to fall apart when they asked him to present a case study. One of your patients, perhaps, Fromm said. Someone you worked with closely. Oh, sure. There was this one guy, let's call him Axel. Jung frowned. That name sounds familiar. Yeah, he had this rage problem and this thing with authority and a penchant for, storming off stage mid-set. Freud sat up. And how did you treat him? Well, I tried to remind him that anger is just sadness with better PR. There was a long silence. Then, slowly, Freud stood. You're not Alfred Adler, are you? Steven froze. Depends. Are you going to kick me out if I say no? I should have known, Freud muttered. The real Adler never would have used the phrase rage is sadness with better PR. Okay, but you got to admit, that's a solid line. Fromm sighed. Jung laughed. Frankl clapped. He's an imposter, Freud said. And yet, I've learned more in this hour of absurdity than in decades of self-serious masturbation. He's not Adler, Frankl said, but he's something. Steven stood slowly. I'm just a drummer, he said. Exactly, Jung whispered. Which, Steven continued, means I know how to keep time, even when everything's falling apart. Fromm rolled his eyes so hard they almost got stuck. I don't know if this is enlightenment or a psychotic break. Why not both? Steven said. The lights flickered. The floor rippled. Freud lit a cigar made of old therapy notes and stared off into space. Perhaps the future doesn't belong to the thinkers, he said. Perhaps it belongs to the keepers of rhythm. Hell yeah, it does, Steven said. You guys got any gum? The walls began to bend. Time hiccuped. A tea kettle somewhere screamed in German, and the floorboards whispered, Round 2 begins at dusk.